Today's video was made possible by Worksharp. Welcome back to the shop, friends. So in the sharpening station build recently, it went a little bit long. I didn't have enough time to show you how I intend to use it, so let's do this today. If you missed that project, I'll be sure to link that at the end of the video. I spent 3 weeks building this. It was a really big project. I hope you guys will check it out. If you're new here, my name is Jim and I'm the creator of the Lasting Build channel. I'm a hobby woodworker and carpenter. I make weekly videos intended to help you improve your skills and inspire that next project. So the first thing I did was I found a good place on the wall to put it. I mounted it a little bit low on purpose. That way when I pull the Worksharp out to use it, it's at a nice comfortable height. So one of the first things I did was apply the grits to each of the wheels. I actually have 6 glass wheels. 2 of the wheels have sandpaper on them and 4 of the wheels have leather strop mounted to them. So I went with 4 different leather honing wheels for a reason. I have 4 different compounds to apply to the leather, so each one has a different grit. So I've got a 120 grit paper, a 400 grit paper, a 1000 grit paper, and a 3600 grit paper mounted to the disc. So for the leather honing compounds, I have the black emery, brown tripoli, white diamond, and red rouge. I'll put a link to all this stuff in the description. So this is a 3/4 inch chisel I just finished sharpening, and it may be tough to see in the video, but it truly has a mirror finish. So this is my 1-inch Stanley Sweetheart chisel. It's the 750 series. Let's take it through the Worksharp system today, and we'll see how well we can polish it up. So I've never been able to get the 1-inch chisel completely flat on the back. So for that reason, I'm going to use my most rough grit, which is the P120. We'll start out with it. We'll start out by flattening the back. It only took a few seconds, but now the back is completely flat. So now I'm going to turn my attention to the bevel. I spun the 120 over so it's on the bottom side. It's probably hard for you to see, but there's a few micro bevels on this chisel because I've never been able to get it completely square. So today hopefully we'll correct that. So I've got that bevel squared up. You might be able to tell that there's actually 2 bevels currently. I don't need to go all the way to the end because it's nice and square and it is to the edge. So the 120 grit is going to take a lot of material off and I don't want to use it any longer than necessary. Since it's all the way to the end of the chisel, in other words the 2 planes are meeting, I'm going to stop there and move on to the next grit. So now we got the 400 grit. So I used the 400 grit for a few seconds, and now I'm going to move on to the 1000 grit. I'll go ahead and flip this over, and we'll start working on the bevel. So now the 3600 grit. So I'm only sharpening for a few seconds at a time. The chisel has not gotten hot in any way during this whole process. Can you see how much of a mirror finish that we've already created? We haven't even started stropping yet. So now we can move on to my favorite part, and that is the stropping. Again, I have 4 different stropping discs. We're going to start with the black emery. So after the black, now we've got the brown. Now we got white. We got 1 more grit to go, and that is the red one. So I just went through every grit that I have with this 1-inch chisel, and it is for sure the sharpest it's ever been. I don't know if you can tell in the video. Can you see the reflection? I don't know, can you see yourself in the chisel? I know that I can see myself when I look. I mean, I can see the size of my pupils in the back of the chisel. So that's the process for me using the WorkSharp system. In addition to the WorkSharp, I've got the drawer here where I'm going to be storing other components as well. I'll still be using the diamond stone some as well. I prefer to be able to use multiple methods of sharpening. I mean, if the electricity is out, for example, I can't use the WorkSharp, so I'll use the stones. The stones are also much more mobile, so I'll have access to those. I can take those with me, or I can move them over to the workbench to use them. So that's my new workflow. I'm super excited about it. I love the cabinet. I love the location of it. It's super nice getting these things off my workbench, so it's easy to come over here, sharpen, and then move on to whatever I'm doing. So WorkSharp sent me the WorkSharp 3000 out to my shop to use, and also to make the video with. I'll admit it'd be really difficult for me to be super critical of a tool that was sent to me for free. But I can 100% honestly tell you this tool is awesome. I don't know how I could go back to the stones that I was using before. I mean, I like the diamond stones, but they are not the easiest thing to use. And I assure you, my chisels have never been this sharp before. It's almost not fair how easy it is to use this thing, because I've been learning to use those stones for several years, and you certainly can get a sharp chisel or plane iron with diamond stones, but there's a little bit of a learning curve, and to be honest with you, this thing takes the learning curve out. Well, I'm sure you'll be seeing the sharpening station and a lot more videos coming up. The nice thing about this is I can be working on a project, and if I want to go over and sort of tune up a chisel real quick, I can just run through the honing compounds real quick. I don't even have to get the sandpaper out. To be honest with you, the sandpaper is more for sort of rebeveling and flattening. Those 4 honing compounds in the leather are probably going to do the majority of the work that I need, especially if I'm just sort of tuning up a chisel real quick. I've got a project coming up soon where the sharpness to the chisel and the plane irons is ultra critical. So that was one of the reasons I developed this sharpening station and reached out to WorkSharp regarding the WorkSharp 3000. So be looking out for a big new project coming soon. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of the sharpening station going forward. Also, if you missed the build video to the sharpening station, be sure to check that out. I'll see you guys over there.